There is an issue here for rugby. I don't know if it's quite existential threat, but it's a big threat to the game's future. Some of the knocks to the head are almost unavoidable. They just are so intrinsic to the game, and they're always going to be there, unfortunately. And then we have these high tackles, moments like Charlie Ewels yesterday. So I don't understand why, given that James Ryan is about 6'7", Charlie Ewels cannot go a touch lower. And we're seeing it week on week. The red cards for the last 2 years are having no effect.
And Joe, we're going to see it week on week, year on year going forward, I feel. I think this is a big issue within our game. We've had a huge amount of head collisions always over the last 40, 50 years. Now, they're only getting our attention more now because of the longer term damage we know that taking bangs to your brain can have, and also the work that World Rugby are trying to do to stamp it out of our game.
Are we not seeing higher tackles, though?
We are seeing higher tackles. So they've brought in new rules, but what they're trying to do is fundamentally change the game, and that is a difficult thing to do. You're conditioned to always tackle high. You know, coaches don't want you necessarily tackling low, because as soon as you start tackling from the stomach down, it just opens up an offload game for the opposition, and you end up chasing shadows for the whole game.
But maybe so be it. If it's player safety and if it's, you know, ensuring that the game survives long term.
Yeah, for sure. And that tackle we just saw there was definitely a red card late. There was there's no arguments. There's not the argument here. But there are times where people just get it wrong and people bump into things, and that's just the nature of the game. So I think where that has to be written out. You know, and the way you do it is you give them 6 months. That's how you do it. Because then it's the only way you get people to say, OK, we can't tackle low because it's 6 months from the game. And you start penalising clubs as well. You start penalising organisations, because we have to change the behaviour of coaches. We have to change the behaviour of everyone in the game to say that attacking here because we want to stop the offload is technically correct. But now no longer is that acceptable behaviour in our game. We have to do something else. So what does that mean? It means we're going to have offloads. What does that force the defence do? Take another person out of the line and maybe have a sweeper. So they've got to have a secondary defence. What does that do? It creates more space, more attack. That's good. So it's an overall view. And this is one of the problems with the game that Robbie's pointing out. World Rugby is trying to do stuff about this, but we don't seem to have a big picture, categorised way of attacking it over the whole game. A red card is a very blunt weapon. It needs more than just a red card to work on this within the game.
OK.